I'm going to try to explain to you each of the major issues that these presidential candidates are running on and the Christian biblical worldview that we should have regarding each issue. Now, I ask two things. One, that you share this video with as many people as possible. Share it to your story, send it in your group chat, send it to your congregation. I believe that this will help you vote biblically. And two, please go out and vote. I do believe this is the most critical election in our nation's history. I don't say this lightly. I'm not a fatalist or a fear-mongerer, but I believe we are on the cusp of World War III and a total collapse of our country from within based on the outcome of this election. Now, as a Christian, my job will not change. In fact, light shines brightest when it is darkest. And so I have hope in all seasons, but I also have the ability to change the destiny and the future of this country for my children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. You see, I don't just make decisions about myself. I'm thinking of the generations to come. And I will not sit by and do nothing while evil prevails. So let's go through this list. I'm going to put this graphic right here so that you guys can follow along with me. We'll go point by point, and I'll try to make it short and sweet. Listen, I'm not a theologian. I don't have a PhD in theology. I will give you some practical, biblical wisdom on some of these issues, and frankly, some of them you will just need common sense. Number one, late-term abortion. Donald Trump opposes late-term abortion, while Kamala Harris supports late-term abortion. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you agree with science? Not even religion, which as a Christian, I believe Psalm 139 tells us that life is something that is created and authored by God. It says that you saw my unformed frame. You saw my clump of cells. You saw me when I didn't even look like a human because you knitted me together in my mother's womb. Because of that reason, I could never vote for someone who is a radical abortionist. Now, I realize Donald Trump has some problematic views on abortion, but he is the more conservative choice. Issue number two, single-payer health care, eliminating private health insurance for a single government-run healthcare system. Donald Trump opposes, Kamala Harris supports. Again, most of what you will see from the Democratic Party on this ticket is big government. I love people being able to make their own decisions, like get their own healthcare and not be forced to adopt some government nationwide healthcare system. So for that reason, I would lean more conservatively. I am not a big government type of person. Number three, American energy independence, supporting the increase of domestic oil and natural gas production by removing select environmental regulations. Donald Trump supports American energy independence. Kamala Harris opposes it. Guys, over the last 4 years, you've seen what happens when we stop relying on American energy and American oil. And you have to ask yourself, do you want to be at the mercy of another country, especially with all of the unrest that has been caused by the Democratic Party in the world over the last few years? We need to be America first, and that means relying on our own sources of energy and oil, which we have plenty of. Religious freedom, protecting individuals and businesses from being forced to provide services in violation of their faith or conscience. Donald Trump supports religious freedom. Kamala Harris opposes it. Again, remember years ago when the Christian baker did not want to make a cake for a gay wedding. Democratic policy would force your hand in this issue or put you in jail or fine you or shut your business down. Donald Trump supports your ability to say, hey, I am exercising religious freedom. I don't want the government involved in my religious liberty to my God. And regardless, as Christians, it doesn't matter who is president. I'm going to serve God regardless. I'll go to jail before I will defy God. But do you want to live in a country that will put you in jail or one that will support you listening to what God tells you to do? Again, Donald Trump supports your religious freedom. Kamala Harris will force your hand. Abortion funding, using taxpayer dollars to fund abortions. This is domestic and abroad. The Democratic Party has already sent millions and millions of dollars overseas for abortions and transgender surgeries. Again, if you're against abortion, then why would you be for your money going towards abortions? I don't ever support abortion. I hate that my taxpayer dollars go to fund abortions. Donald Trump opposes this. Kamala Harris supports it. Gender ideology, taxpayer funding for gender reassignment surgeries on minors. This should be a no-brainer. Donald Trump opposes it. Kamala is for it. Again, California has become a sanctuary state for minors and kids getting transgender surgeries. Guys, this is ruining their lives. Also, our taxpayer dollars are funding these things. Kamala boasts that she had a criminal, a convicted inmate, had a gender-affirming surgery done at the taxpayer's expense. Is this the kind of country that you want? Donald Trump opposes these things. Kamala Harris supports your money going to fund someone who is mentally ill and needs counseling and therapy, not surgery. Girls' sports, permitting biologically male athletes to participate in girls' sports. Donald Trump opposes, right? Keep men out of women's sports. Kamala Harris supports it. In fact, they applaud this. And you look no further than Dylan Mulvaney, who has made the Bud Light poster child and invited to the White House. It is a mentally ill man pretending to be a woman and not even acting like a real woman. Real women do not run around drinking wine and beer and talking like they do in the movies. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a fraud. It's a charade. Kamala Harris supports it. Donald Trump wants to keep men out of your daughter's sports. On that topic, Donald Trump also falls in line with traditional beliefs and conservative beliefs and God-given gender roles, which is that male and female were created equally but different. This should be common knowledge, but the Democratic Party wants to tell your kids that there's over 100 genders. They can change their gender, and if you look at statistics alone, kids who believe this stuff, which that number is increasing thanks to this administration, are more likely to fall into depression and suicide. We have to stop this epidemic right now. ID and citizenship voting requirements. Donald Trump supports voter ID and coming into this country the correct way. Kamala Harris opposes it. It's funny that you need an ID to get into Kamala's rallies, but not to get into the country, according to them. You have to ask why. What's the motive behind that? Now you might say, oh, love your neighbor, take in the foreigner. The Bible says this. The Bible will never contradict itself. And so God always calls us to love our neighbor, but he will never call us to break the law to do so. Now, if you look, we have a legal way to obtain citizenship in this country. And when we allow illegals in, not only are we promoting lawlessness and saying you can break the law, we are also hurting the nation. You look at what happens when you bring millions and millions of people in here, not just to the economy, but you are bringing in criminals. You are bringing in terrorists. This is a known fact. This isn't a talking point. Go look it up. Many of them have been apprehended at the border. Many of them are running loose in our country. The Green New Deal, supporting comprehensive climate change requirements. Donald Trump opposes it. He calls it the Green New Scam, and Kamala Harris supports it. Again, climate change is just fancy terminology that the Democratic Party has been using to gain control. How do I know this? Look at their actions. They tell you that your carbon emissions are hurting the planet while they fly around the country like Taylor Swift, millions of miles in their private jets emitting tons of CO2. You have AOC telling us that we need to get rid of our gas stoves, and she has a gas stove in the background of her video. They are hypocrites. They are doing this so that they can control you. They want gas to be gone, you to be on an electric grid, because guess who can shut off the electricity at any time they want? Guys, this is really clear. You have to look at what is the motive. And it's not crazy to think that humans want to control other humans. There's so many stories of it in the Bible, and guess what? People are still the same today. It is our inherent nature, our sinful nature, to want to control and lord over other people. Wouldn't those in positions of government who are not following God's voice want to do the same for supreme control and power? Donald Trump opposes it. Again, less government is the conservative party this go around, and the Democratic Party supports more government, more control, under the guise of climate change. Finally, Supreme Court justices. Donald Trump supports appointing justices who interpret the Constitution by adhering to the framers' original intent. Kamala opposes it. Kamala wants to add 10, 12, 15 more justices. She wants to be able to undo what the Constitution says by strong-arming it. They've even said that the Constitution is a threat to democracy. The Constitution is a toxic document. The Constitution is what our nation was founded on. Remember, we are a constitutional republic. That constitution, it holds us together. It is the framework upon which our nation was formed. Donald Trump wants to support upholding the Constitution. Kamala wants to oppose it. I will finish the video with this. There is no perfect candidate unless Jesus is on the ballot. We're always voting for sinners. I encourage you to vote in the way, one, of your biblical values. Don't follow your heart. The Bible says the heart is desperately wicked and deceitful. Who could know it? You need to follow the Bible. Now, I'm looking at policy. I'm not looking at people, because people are imperfect. I am imperfect. I have a checkered past. I have said and done things that I'm not proud of. But so have many, many people that God has used through the Bible and in history. We are all flawed, but we have to vote for someone who is going to set us up for success. We have to vote for someone who is going to put us on the path towards becoming a great nation again. Kamala wants to radically change this nation. Donald Trump wants to put us on the path of America first, family first. He wants to preserve life more than Kamala Harris. He wants to preserve gender roles more than Kamala Harris. He wants to preserve the greatness of our country and our economy more than Kamala Harris. And for those reasons, I will be voting for Donald Trump.